Good afternoon, Fin fans, and welcome back to another episode of atphinsnews. So, before I was going to start this episode, we were going to do a four-part segment. We were going to break the schedule down in four parts, kind of like the coaches do when they get the schedule. They go quarterly, so they go every 4 games, and then the last quarter will be 5 games because there's obviously an added game now. But before we drop that segment, we'll be dropping that segment sometime next week, early next week. I just felt like I needed to get on here and talk to you guys about our Miami Dolphins moving forward with all the talk going on in the national media about this Dolphins team, and just some different YouTubers on YouTube talking about this Miami Dolphins organization. I just felt that I needed to come in here, just kind of clear the air. I'm sick of all the fighting back and forth between our fan base. So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? So the first thing I was going to talk about while covering this stream was, this is Tua's third year. We all know that's what everyone talks about is Tua. This is the make or break year for him. Obviously, we know that. We get that as a Miami Dolphins fan base. We know that if he struggles this year, most likely he's going to be gone. The organization, since day one, with either the owner or the GM or the head coach, there hasn't ever been full support for this quarterback, and it's not more evident than just looking at the other quarterbacks that got drafted the same year as Tua. For example, when Joe Burrow got drafted to the Bengals, his first year, I think Zach Taylor is the coach. He used to actually be the QB coach for the Miami Dolphins. But when they drafted Joe Burrow, they let Joe Burrow pick like 6 or 7 of his best college plays, or the plays that he was the most comfortable in, and implemented it into their offense, right, guys? We never seen Tua get this kind of treatment as far as right when he walked in. First of all, right when Tua walked into the Dolphins organization, Tua was expected to learn Fitzpatrick's playbook, obviously, with Chan Gailey, right? So he never had the support like, say, a Joe Burrow did. Let's take it even further and we look at Justin Herbert. You know, he's a superstar. You know, I'm not denying his big playability, his big arm. He has huge upside. He's going to maybe crack the top 5 QBs this year in the NFL. But as soon as he replaced Tyrod Taylor on the Chargers, whenever that freak accident happened with Tyrod Taylor pregame in the Chargers, you've seen the Chargers change their playbook to benefit Justin Herbert. We really never seen this in Tua's first year. They made the offensive playbook a smaller playbook for Tua when he came in, but they never really implemented his style of football when he coming from college to the pros. They just pretty much threw him out there with a limited playbook because they didn't think he can handle everything Fitzpatrick could, and obviously he wasn't going to be able to. Fitzpatrick was in the league for 17 years going into that season, so obviously Fitzpatrick has seen every defense that can be thrown at him. Tua was a rookie, but Tua had to learn that playbook, didn't get to implement some of his plays that he liked, or got to talk to the offensive coordinator what plays he would like to run or what plays he's most comfortable in. They just threw him out there in a limited playbook because he might have not have known all of the playbook like they're saying, but he never got the same support, and that's just 2 examples of an organization actually supporting their young quarterback that they just drafted, just seeing if they can make him a successful quarterback in the NFL, and that's what the Miami Dolphins failed to do for Tua. And I'm not putting all the blame on the Miami Dolphins organization, guys. I understand Tua has at times been mediocre in his reading the defense, reading all 3 levels of the defense. But that's not all on him either. That is on, I think, when he came in this league, our line was atrocious. It's been bad for the last 2 years. Last year, it was ranked dead last in the league. I think that just got in his head. The line, he was thinking that there was pressure coming sometimes when there wasn't even pressure, just because as a quarterback, guys, whenever you don't have consistent protection, you start thinking there's going to be a rush coming in your face instantly just based on the previous plays. It gets in your head psychologically. And I think for Tua, seeing his line for the last 2 years, well, at least for his rookie year, and then going into a second year, seeing how there was pressure coming at his face so constantly, he got flustered in the pocket where he thought he had to either throw the ball out right away in less than a second just so he wouldn't get hit because he was recovering from his rib injuries his second year, or it was because he just didn't trust the line, so he got the ball out of his hand quick. I know the Miami Dolphins tailored an offense the second year to do the short game, the RPO, but even in college when he would run the RPO, guys, he would still throw the ball deep on occasions. You see him his second year last year, he rarely went deep in an RPO, and a lot of people, analysts say, well, RPO style is not meant to go deep. I understand that. There's actually the linemen are moving forward. That's why we got so many illegal man blocking downfield penalties last year, because the line was too pushed out past the line of scrimmage. Therefore, there goes the penalty. But even if you look back at his early days, he would still throw the ball deep on RPOs on occasions, and we have rarely seen that in an RPO offense in the Miami Dolphins organization with Tua. And that just leads me to believe Tua didn't trust the offensive line. He wasn't feeling the pressure like he should have, because he was just consistently thinking there was going to be pressure in his face because of the previous plays, like I said. So from him coming into the league right away, never having the full support of the organization, with all the stories coming out that the Dolphins wanted to pursue this quarterback, or the coach wanted to go trade for this quarterback. It's just never been a collective unit that collectively agree that they need to develop Tua, see what they have in him, and if he doesn't work out, so be it. But give him everything, and give everything to him to let him succeed or fail. And that leads me to this year, guys. This is why I'm saying this year there's no more excuses. It's time to play ball. This team is not in a real rebuild mode anymore. We're done with rebuild mode. This is the time to it's a compete mode now, guys. We're in the business of competing. We got some playmakers on our team. If you just look, I know there's not an official depth chart now because training camp hasn't started. That's about a month away. But just initially looking at the additions we added. So the biggest need we would all say going into this offseason was fix the offensive line, right? That's what we all say collectively on YouTube. The experts on ESPN and Fox, they've all said the Miami Dolphins need to fix this line. What did they do in the offseason? This offseason, finally, after they made failed attempts drafting offensive linemen in the draft in the previous years, they finally went out and tried to get proven commodities in free agency. So what did we do first? First we got Connor Williams. I thought he was going to play guard, but there's signs we're hearing around the Dolphins organization that Connor Williams might actually be our center this year. So still a solid lineman. If besides his holding penalties he had last year, he was a top 7 guard in this league. So, boom, we fixed one of those positions. Then after we got Connor Williams, we went out and got the big fish, Teron Armstead, of course. If he is healthy throughout the season, because he's always had nagging injuries that's kept him out, but if he can stay healthy in Miami, he is easily a top 3 tackle in this league, if not higher. So we got a top 7 guard. Now he's transitioned to center, and then we got a top 3 tackle at the position. So there's 2 positions taken care of on our line. We already have, Robert Hunt. He's been our best lineman for the last 2 years, in my opinion. I feel with this coaching staff that's brought in, that focuses on the line, he's only going to develop and get better this year. So I'm really excited to see Robert Hunt's growth. So that's 3 linemen already taken care of right there. We have now this is where it kind of gets tricky, because we have 2 positions and we have players trying to vie for these positions. In my honest opinion, even though I haven't been too high on Austin Jackson ever since we drafted him, I thought it was a reach where we got him. All signs point to him being our right tackle. I know a lot of us are going to get kind of scared about that, but he just fits Mike McDaniel's offense to a T as a tackle with his athletic ability, him being able to pull. Because the one thing that Austin Jackson was good at last year, I've seen a handful of plays where he can pull on screens and he can get out in open field and lay wood on someone. So I think that's what they're trying to develop. And again, this coaching staff's gonna make Austin Jackson better, but it's kind of like a wait and see game with him at tackle, and then we have a left guard that we need to figure out who's gonna be. Either it's gonna be Liam Eichenberg who they drafted last year that they were expecting big things out of, but he kind of had a hit or miss year last year. Or we also have Michael Dieter. If he's not going to be center, we did use him at guard the previous year, and he was serviceable. So maybe them battling out, maybe a Robert Jones. We still got Solomon Kinley, but unless he gets his act together, I thought in his first year he did pretty well, and then he just fell off the wagons last year with his weight and conditioning. So maybe he comes in better shape and tries to compete for a guard spot, which would be lovely. But as of right now, maybe Liam Eichenberg's going to be there. But our line, as far as the previous 2 years, our line has it's gotten better drastically from the previous 2 years. So I'm expecting we were 32nd in the league last year in offensive line. We should easily move up to, I would say, 20th, which will be serviceable, at least for Tua, to give him more time to read the defense, to read all three levels of the defense, not just read, the outside linebackers going to the flat, I need to go inside real quick, or the outside linebackers going in, I need to hit the flat real quick. He's going to have more time to let it develop, and I feel that's going to give him better chance to succeed this year, obviously, as well as another reason why I believe Tua is going to have an easier time this year in his development and being able just to try to prove to the Dolphins that he's our franchise quarterback is, we got some dogs at running back, guys. This is one of the deepest positions that we have as of right now, in my opinion, at least in the entire depth chart. Moving into training camp, at least we got Chase Edmonds that runs a sub 4.5. We got Sony Michel that we picked up recently. We got Raheem Mostert coming back from injury that he's a dog. If he has a good enough line, he can hit that hole and he's gone. He's a blow-by guy. We got still Myles Gaskins and Salvin Ahmed as well still. So that running back room is deep. Even if a guy or two goes down, we have enough guys to fill in that role. I'm hoping that our main guys like Raheem Mostert, even though he's coming back for injury, he can actually get into training camp shape and start making plays in training camp just to see his ability. But I hope Raheem Mostert, Sony Michel, and Chase Edmonds stay healthy throughout the year, just to give Tua even more weapons out of the backfield, because they are really good catching backs out of the backfield. And Sony Michel's a great blitzing running back. He's great at picking up the blitzes in the backfield, and that's going to be huge for Tua, to give him that confidence to be able to step up in the pocket even though if there is a blitz coming at him, because he knows Sony Michel is going to be able to pick that up on third down, to give him even more time to look downfield for our receivers, Tyreek Hill that we got, Cedric Wilson's a blazer. You can't forget about Jalen Waddle. He was dynamic in his rookie year, and I only expect bigger and better things from him. I feel Tua's going to be able to spread out the ball kind of like a point guard does in the NBA, and he's going to be able to succeed that way. I expect Tua to have a big year this year, and if he doesn't, then we know, as Dolphin fans, like I said previously, it's a make or break year. Not only for Tua, it's crazy for me to even say, because I hate how the Dolphins continually just get rid of coaches, but it's a make or break year for Mike McDaniel as well. And there's no further evidence than that just by listening to Chris Greer's press conference when they hired Mike McDaniel. He pretty much said Mike McDaniel believes Tua can be the franchise quarterback. He put it all on Mike McDaniel. So with all those reports coming out, that still frustrates me, because as a Dolphin fans, we should get behind our team, get behind our coaches, and let them grow together. And if that player doesn't make it, then okay, it's time to get rid of them. But instead, we're hearing all these reports about how much the Miami Dolphins offered Sean Payton to be the next coach before the the Brian Flores thing came out. I mean, why do we even need to hear that? We obviously Sean Payton's a more proven coach than Mike McDaniel. We get it. If we could have got Sean Payton, great. But then Sean Payton would have came with who? All the reports say Tom Brady. There's more names being dropped, not just a solid front saying Tua's our guy. We believe in Tua. There's even players coming out now, even in OTAs, that are defending Tua. Chase Edmonds was on a podcast the other day talking about how he thinks this is going to be Tua's best year because he's going to have the full support of his players and coaches, which he hasn't had in the past. So Chase Edmonds, a new guy coming out, sticking his neck out on the line for Tua. We got Tyreek Hill still talking about how accurate Tua is and he's balling, and then we get contradicting reports from Westenhoff saying how he didn't look good and the coach, his play calls weren't good, they weren't crisp out of the huddle. So there's just a lot of back and forth, and just that leads to disagreements in the fan base. Have we seen half the people think Tua's a bum and he's a bust and he's not going to lead this team anywhere, and then we got other side of the fan base saying that he's better than Dan Marino, which are two. I think they're so hit or miss. Both of them are wrong in the sense that I don't believe Tua's a bust yet. He has this year to prove himself. If he can be our franchise quarterback, that's beneficial to all of the Dolphin fans because then we can use our picks next year to make this team even better and keep that window of trying to compete for a title longer. If we have to go and use those picks to go get another quarterback, that's just going to tighten that window where we better win in the next 1 to 2 years or this team's going to get blown up because of salary cap issues. Because we're in a couple years, Tyreek Hill, unless we restructure his contract or they get rid of him, we're going to have to pay him like $30 million on the books in salary cap. And for one player, and then we still got Jalen Waddle's going to be up for a contract. We got Christian Wilkins next year up for a contract. We got Jalen Phillips will be up for a contract. Javon Holland, which is a beast. These guys are going to be paid really well. So we, as fans, we should all hope Tua is going to be our franchise quarterback, or we're going to be in a very tight window to bring in someone to win in a year or two, or this thing's going to be blowing up and we're going to have to rebuild again. And I'm sick and tired of the rebuild process. I know teams always add players or lose players, but it's called retooling. You're not rebuilding, throwing this thing, taking all the players out like we did 4 years ago and bringing all new players in. I'm sick of that. We're going to have to find a core unit, sign those players. Hopefully Tua succeeds this year. And again, like I said, there is no excuses this year, guys. From the offensive playmakers we brought in, from our receiving core to the running backs to help this line be really good this year, or at least serviceable. And then with the defense, I mean, we kept everybody pretty much. There's no one that was big on our defense that we didn't keep. We re-signed Agba. We got Raekwon Davis in the middle. We got Christian Wilkins in the middle as well. We still got Van Ginkel, Landon Roberts as our middle linebacker, even though, I mean, he's a thumper. Don't get me wrong, guys. In the red zone and short yardage situations, I wouldn't rather have anyone than Landon Roberts. Have you seen some of the hits that guy put on players last year and the year prior? I mean, he can thump people in the backfield when he gets going ahead of steam. So we have him still. Jerome Baker, he's hit or miss, but he's better on the outside. I believe he can show his playmaking ability more, and he's a great blitzing linebacker. Jalen Phillips is going to still come to his own. I mean, he's going to even be better than last year, and he had a really good rookie year. Then Besides Jalen Phillips, we added Melvin Ingram, and he was quietly a really good player for the Chiefs once he got traded from Pittsburgh. It must have been just not a good fit for him, but he really handled his own in the playoffs, and even before the playoffs late in the year, he was a really good piece for the Chiefs, so I expect nothing more. He's going to provide added pressure on the QBs this year, so that was a great signing in my opinion. Then obviously our corners that we still have, X and Byron Jones. The only thing that concerns me about them is that they are getting old, and if they do have nagging injuries, who do we have to back them up? I mean, from all reports and OTAs, Noah, I'm just going to say Noah. He's been getting burnt all over the field. The QBs are picking on him when they need to pick on somebody. And, I mean, if Noah can't figure it out, who's backing up X or Byron once someone gets hurt in the boundary? I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe Eric Rowe can go and play corner, but I doubt it. At his age, he's better more as like a safety or a hybrid where he can cover tight ends from time to time. But we have Trill Williams. Maybe I mean he might be able to do something. I mean we don't have a legitimate backup cornerback in case one of those guys go down. So that's kind of in our depth chart going into training camp. That's kind of like a sour spot for me. The only weaknesses I believe we have is depth at the cornerback position on defense and another linebacker until Channing Tindall comes into a zone. I expect good things from him this year in his rookie year, but I think next year is going to be the year where he's going to take over Landon Roberts' position. We're going to see him flying all over the field because he's one of those linebackers we really never had that is a thumper like Landon Roberts, but he can run sideline to sideline, scrape really well, has really good instincts at the position. He just needs to get better at pass coverage, obviously. But with his athletic ability and our coaching staff, I have no doubt he's going to get better throughout the year. So overall, just looking at the team, guys, there's not really any excuses why this team can't be successful this year. I know we have a rookie head coach, and sometimes that causes teams to start slow, but we can't start slow this year. There's no starting slow in the AFC. If you start slow in the AFC, you can be buried in the first 6 weeks of the season because of how strong the AFC is. But in my honest opinion, we need to stop bashing certain players on our team, or not really bashing them because you can be critical. I'm critical of certain players, and I'm critical of obviously bad QB play when it presents itself, but I'm not going to lose hope in this team because what's the point of being a fan if you have no hope going into a season? We haven't even played week 1. We haven't even got to training camp. So in my honest opinion, this team's going to be just fine. Tua's going to be just fine. He's going to he might, of course, all quarterbacks are going to have rough games, but I think overall his season's going to be better than the first 2 seasons he's had combined. We've seen flashes here and there of his ability to play at this level of QB. So we just need to see it more consistently, and I believe he's going to be consistent based on the collective talent we have on this team. There's no excuses, guys, and that's going to be a growing theme this year on this channel. No more excuses. No more saying it's time. We still need to rebuild. There's no more rebuilding. If anything, we're retooling, and we're going to be moving forward. We're done with this whole go from the ground up and then build it back up. No, we're not doing that anymore. It's retooling, but we shouldn't have to rebuild this whole roster. This roster is full of talent, and we should be able to win at minimum 11 games this year. And if we win anything less than that, I think it's a failure in the season. I mean, I know it's a rookie coach, but with his offensive genius, and I know his first time being a play caller, so we got to kind of wait that out and see how he can adjust mid-game because we haven't seen him do it all game being a play caller. But I think he's going to put his players in the best possible chances to win ball games on the offensive side of the ball. And he has all the defense back, so there's no excuses on that end either. I mean, they're going to keep us in games, guys. That defense is too talented. So this is the stream. I wasn't planning on doing a stream like this, but I was just tired of hearing all the negativity about the team and how this team could be blown up after this year, and our coach is going to be gone after this year maybe, and our quarterback. And I'm done with that. As fans, we should want the best for everybody, hope for the best, and if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But we as we look at the roster now, as long as there's no bad things going on in the locker room we're not hearing, and this team keeps growing together, we're gonna have a solid team, guys, and it's gonna be an exciting year for the Miami Dolphins. All right, but what I was going to tell you guys before I let you go is we are going to do that 4-part segment where we break down the schedule in 4 game segments, and then the last the fourth segment will be 5 games because there's an extra game now, obviously. But we're going to break it down in quarters, kind of like the coaches break down the schedule once it gets released and sees what the matchups are and what record they can have in those 4 weeks in that quarter. So we're going to be doing that segment starting next week. All right, guys. But other than that, thanks for the continued support on this channel, guys. I truly appreciate it. It's been overwhelming to see the support that I've been getting. I mean, if you guys are new to this channel, if you can smash that like button and hit that subscribe button up top, I would greatly appreciate it, just so we can help this channel grow organically and get bigger and better as training camp gets closer, and then once the season goes, we'll be full throttle into this, guys. But again, like I said, thank you guys. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Fins up.